Hello everybody! Baba Bru asked me to do a question and answer video to celebrate 6,000 subscribers. I like the idea and luckily you mates didn't let me down and we reached this amazing number. Thank you so much for your support and all the love I get. I'm blessed with the best community on YouTube. Also thanks for the many questions I got, so let's get straight into it. Well, this is no question, it's your opinion. Ask a YouTube main player and he will pretty likely tell you Dino is boring. Personally, I love Dino, but best, no. I got many questions about my favorite dino and what I'm mostly looking forward to. Sorry mates, I have none. I'm fascinated by dinos since I was a child. Back then far fewer dinos were known, not even Utahraptor was discovered. I love Twike because of its horns, sauropods because of their long neck, Rex because of its massive jaws, and so on. Meanwhile, much more dinos are discovered and it's even harder to pick a single one. So sorry again, but I can't just pick one. I love them all, in reality and also in the games. I'm as excited for Twike as I'm excited for Dilo and almost every other dino which is still to come. I'm a passionate solo player. I love to discover and explore by my own. But I also enjoy company, I love to meet different people in games and have fun together. It's like with the dinos though, it's the mix that makes it interesting, especially on the long run. Well, like I said, I love to discover by my own first, and because I play every dino in Path of Titans for the first time, I also mostly play a solo at the moment. Again, I can't choose. So many are so lovely. In fact, each hatchling is very cute in its own way. I guess you are new to the channel. I expressed my love for Trio quite often in the past. It's such a fun dino to play. I love a good chase as much as I love a good fight, and Trio is still the king of chase. I discovered the Isle 2018 in Beaver's videos. Back then I was very much in love with Arcto. Early 2019 I bought it by my own and fell in love with it. I played Legacy until a Freema got released, then I played a Freema and was shocked about how bad it was. It was very much the start of a Freema with Tenno and Utah only and not even they were running properly. So I had a break and came back at update 3. To me personally, Stego. Honestly, none of them is hard to grow or play anymore. I know the game too well to struggle in that regard. But some are hard to get good footage with. And cause I don't attack as a herb and no one attacks Stego, it's pretty tough to get good footage with Stego by now. I have mixed feelings. I know the actual map very well, this helps me a lot to easy grow and find others, something I like. To know your surroundings is pretty important in survival games in my opinion. On the other hand, I love to explore. Therefore I can't wait to explore a new map and I also will welcome the challenge of not knowing the map. I love Zuko in Legacy, but cause I mostly played on wool servers, its water advantage was very limited. I love Zuko in Path of Titans, where it actually has water advantage and is fun to play. Well, and I'm pretty sure I will love Zuko in Arima too. Pretty likely. The Studiosaurus austricus. Austriacus? Austriacus. I'm terrible in pronouncing names. Anyway, it was a kind of Enki which was found in Austria. It was tiny for its kind, had a thick skin, well actually some armor, and it was pretty slow. Which sounds very much like a nowadays Austrian to me. Anyway, its special ability would be taking hits. Other dinos take damage when they hit you, but you don't take any damage yourself. In return, this dino would have no attack at all. The perfect dino to do the Edinburgh. Sorry mate, but I don't think like this. I don't categorize. dinos by any means, I categorize players. So the most tasty prey is always the cocky player. Sorry mate, I don't know. I don't plan that far ahead. I fell in love with dinos when I was a child. Back then I also liked dragons and other mystic creatures. Growing old, I'm very much a science guy. Dinos were real and therefore I still or even more love them nowadays. It's fascinating that such huge creatures ruled the world once. Honestly, I don't know how anyone can not be fascinated by them. Even though I know many aren't. Probably even more than I love them. What a shame. Well, and the Isle is the game which brings these creatures alive like no other till now. So I don't even have a choice, but loving the Isle. In Pass of Titans I would change the quests. In the Isle I would change guns incoming. Best part of having a channel is my amazing community. Worst part is the quality control. Before I upload I go through all the bubbles and correct my mistakes. I hate that. I'm a creative guy and hate nothing more than work like a clerk. Means correctly, focused, my nightmares. This is gonna be a long answer. Personally, I prefer the Isle. This has several reasons. The most important though is the simple fact that it's more like a simulation. Pass of Titans is more like an RPG. The best example I can give you is the Battlefield series and the Arma series. More successful was Battlefield, by far. Still, I was always the Arma guy. The realism it offered was stunning compared to Battlefield. Later on, I loved DayZ. Many say The Last of Us is the best zombie game. And if you like storytelling and character evolution, then it's probably the best. Still, to me The Last of Us is no match to DayZ. Just cause I'm the type of player who prefers these type of games. A kind of realistic sandbox, the story comes by us players, every death hurts, and experience is as important as skills. In that matter, the Isle ticks all my boxes like no other dino game. Both, cause a balanced diet is very important, they say. I'm a man, born and raised in a time where a man was very different to nowadays. That doesn't mean it was better, not at all, but it was very different. I'm from Austria, the land of the terrible accent. Most famous example, Schwarzenegger. On my homepage I answered the question with I did boot my first game from a tape. To be more precise here, we do a kind of riddle. A very simple one. I spent one more year in the actual millennium. Shouldn't be that tough to solve. Well, my members already know my face, so you can if you want, but I have to warn you, my face isn't worth the money. Sadly only German and English, even though I still struggle with English. We had the dino part already, so I go for seafood, even though I love many different kind of food. Jeez, I love both. As Austrian you have to ski by law, so I love snowy mountains, but I also love the sea and the beach. I would go for the beach cause you always like this you don't have. No more pets. My sister and I had many in our childhood though. We had 3 hamster, they don't get old, cats and chinchilla and a bird. The bird was my biggest love of them. Its name was Fritzi and we loved each other. It ended bad though, but that's a sad story I don't want to tell here. At least he died free. The Land Before Time. Back then we didn't have as much TV or any other source of entertainment beside music. There was no Jurassic Park or anything. Just the adventures of Littlefoot, and I loved it. The first game with dinos inside was Caveman Olympics. It was back on the Commodore 64. 64 was the RAM, by the way. 64 kilobytes RAM. Think about that. A quite nice dino game was Jurassic Park on the Super Nintendo later on. but the first real impressive Dino game was without any doubt Dino Crisis. Jeez, what a game it was at the time. From nowadays perspective though, meh. I don't think so. I'm too old to change much anymore. That said, there are already were and also will be moments without mercy too. There were games in the past that I played like a junkie. I often played till 3 or 4 AM in the morning and only slept 2 to 3 hours a day, often for 1 or even 2 weeks in a row. A co-worker of mine then said someday in the morning, "Dude, you look like a zombie." When I mentioned this in chat in the evening, we started to mess around with it and somehow Mombi was born. You have to know that human is called Mensch in German, so it starts with an M. So it was a mix of half human and half zombie. I played it all. I guess there's no genre I didn't play. The only thing I always loved were simulations. Racing, flight, submarine, whatever, as more realistic as better. In my childhood I loved jumping ones like Giana Sisters. As teenager I loved beat 'em ups like Street Fighter or Final Fight. And any kind of sport games like Formula 1, football, basketball and even American football and baseball. I know most of the rules of the US sports just by games. Later on I loved games like Resident Evil. By the way, beside most saying part 2 was the best, it was part 1. By far. And if anyone thinks different, then you can try to match me in the comments below. I also loved Assassin's Creed. In this series, part 2, or much more the trilogy of Ezio, was the best in my opinion. In my early 20s I loved games like Half-Life, Counter-Strike, Flashpoint, which is the ancestor of the Arma series, and many kind of strategy games like Civilization, Total War, Command & Conquer, and many more. Within the last 10 years I prefer more and more sandbox games where the story comes by us players. Just cause most story games bore me meanwhile, they feel all the same. Red Dead Redemption was a game I very much enjoyed. The story of John and later on Arthur was great. So there are still awesome games in this genre, but less. DayZ really changed me as a gamer. It changed my view on games, as I discovered that the most hilarious stories come by players. Same for the Isle now. I love that you never know what happens next. In almost every story game you often know what happens next. But I still love different games. I just don't have time to play anymore beside the games I show on my channel. Why Brazil? Did I pronounce that right? I don't know. I hope so. Well, this is a very philosophical question and I'm afraid there is no straight answer to it. In general I prefer love though. This lovely mate asked me how I am and I have to say I'm very well. I'm living my dream and I enjoy every minute of it. Nothing. I'm pretty much 24/7 into my channel. The Tarsier just fits well to me. I also have big eyes, even if they are not as cute. In fact, they aren't cute at all. In reality though, I don't know. I fell in love with them some years ago when I saw my first documentary about these cute little pedalers. I would love to play on North American and Australian servers, but sadly I have a very bad ping to them. Still, I want to make 2 nesting events within this year, one on a North American and one on an Australian server, both adapted to the time zones of course. I would love to do merch someday. I dream of an extra fluffy Tarsier with green eyes, but I have to make at least 500 of them, which is quite some money to invest first. To be honest, I don't think I would even sell 50 of them by now, so sorry mates, but I just don't have the money to do this at the moment. But we will see. If my dream goes on, then there might be a chance to do some merch in the future. I love music and it also plays a huge part in my videos to me. Music is such a nice way to carry emotions. YouTube is very straight when it comes to copyrights, so I can't use many songs I would love to. Therefore I subbed at Epidemic Sounds to get the rights on the songs they offer. When I watch a scene, I have a certain type of song in my mind. Then I try to find one which is as similar as possible. I spend about 1 or 2 hours for each video just for the music. But in my opinion it's worth it. That said, music is always a matter of taste. So I'm aware that many people probably also don't like the songs I pick. I got many questions about my motivation and the time I spend for my channel. I will sum it up in the probably most long monologue of this video. I worked almost 20 years in my last job. At the end I earned quite well there, but I never had a passion for that job. It was all about the money. Then I quit my job because of several reasons which I don't want to get into here. The point is though, I had enough money to have a break. I wanted to travel the world, was in Cambodia and fulfilled a childhood dream by visiting Angkor Wat. But then the pandemic came along. The bad thing was I couldn't travel, the good thing it saved me money. So I was at home, bored and thought, you know what, I always wanted to make some YouTube videos but never had time to do so. Now I have time, so let's do it just for fun. I would lie if there wasn't a little voice in my head which dreamed of getting a living of it. But even though I'm a dreamer in many ways, I'm also old. And getting old teaches you that life isn't a dream. So I didn't expect even 100 subs. Especially because I don't talk and my playstyle is very different to the most AR content I had seen before. Well, after half a year I had 1000 subscribers. And this little voice got louder and louder. So I went all in. I used my money to buy a new PC, pay taxes, energy bills and get myself food for almost 2 years now. I'm still far from earning enough money to make a living of it, but I'm also not out of money yet. So I will keep going and try to fulfill my dream. That said, it may happen that I will have to find myself another job again, maybe even by the end of the year, but as long as I keep growing I will go on. I will keep doing videos besides the new job then, even if I won't be able to do the same amount of it per week anymore. Cause after all I spend a lot of time for those videos, about 10 to 15 hours for each video, without playtime. If you add all together I spend about 80 hours a week for YouTube. But the first time in my life it doesn't feel like work. It's my passion. I love games and I love editing. I just love doing it. Even more when I see that people actually enjoy it. It's such a nice feeling to see people having a good time watching them. That's my motivation meanwhile. I'm living my dream as long as possible. I'm still afraid to wake up someday, but hey, I will take care of this as soon as I'm awake. For now, I just enjoy the ride. About the inspiration. I love the gaming Peter. I discovered the isle on his channel. He has the same passion for games like I do. He absolutely dives into games. Well, not always anymore, but we have to be fair, he's doing this since more than a decade now. But beside admiring Beaver, I'm not Beaver at all. He's an entertainer. His laugh and the way he pronounces words and expresses his feelings is very different to me. I'm much more quiet while gaming. I feel emotions pretty deeply, but I don't express them the way he does. I also struggle with English and the Austrian accent doesn't help either. So I decided to do videos by my own style. I didn't have an inspiration in any kind for the type of video I actually do. I just do videos I would like to see myself. I love music, I don't like groups talking to each other, I don't even like streamers who are talking to their chat. I want to be entertained when I watch a video. I want to feel it's made for me. I'm not interested to hear for the 5th time that the streamer's most beloved color is yellow, just cause every day new people come into the chat and ask the same questions. My vids are made to entertain people, mostly by the game itself, the music and just some thoughts of mine in the bubbles. Honestly, I'm afraid of the time I would have to spend there. I was in many different Discord groups or TeamSpeak back in the days. One thing they all had in common, there were always people who started to fight. So I would need a lot of time to keep an eye on it, and in worst case even had to decide to kick somebody. I'm no ruler. I never was and never will be. That's just not the person I am. Often I understand both parties and it would end in many endless discussions. I rather spend my time for the videos, so if I ever find somebody who is willing to do the moderation and most important someone I fully trust, then yes. Otherwise no. Probably no, there might be a chance though. My following answers will explain that, I guess. When I started the channel I made the Alwitz only. It was the game I played and loved the most at that time. Later on, when I started to dream, I realized that I spent all my time on YouTube. But I'm a gamer. I want to play different games as well. So I started to do other series on my channel. I enjoyed Satisfactory and the Goat Simulator a lot. I also will continue Satisfactory at some point. Update 8 of the final version, I don't know yet. But I will. So many people ask me to play Path of Titans. Therefore I started a series like the others before. I didn't want to play it. Not because I don't like it, just cause it's another dino game. I prefer the version. So the other series should be other genres at best. That said, I also feel responsible to our community. If many want me to play a certain game, then I also want to fulfill their wishes. Anyway, I will keep doing different series in the future as well. Personally, I want to have a look at Star Citizen, but we will see. Time will tell. Alright, I hope I answered all your questions, and if I missed something or even didn't pick your question, then feel free to ask me in the comments below. Some final words to my beloved community. Thank you for all the support, the many nice, funny and interesting comments, and all the love I get. I'm blessed with so many friendly people. You are the reason I dream. You made the last 2 years to one of the best times in my life. I'm very grateful and humbled by all of you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Your Mombi.